Hey guys, how are you? Uh, Welcome to another episode of Expert Talk. Today, I have a very interesting personality for you and somebody who can actually guide you, teach you, and mentor you for a very nice elevated level. Okay, in today's Expert Talk, we are going to see how you can present your ideas to the investment community. One of the big buzzword and happening things which are happening right now is investor. Wherever you go, whichever Zoom meeting you tune in, everywhere, like investors, and startups, angels and all. Let us let us try to understand how this system works and what is that as a business or an enthusiastic learner, what should we doing to present our business ideas to the investment community. Today's guest is Mr. Ramesh Babu. He is the founder, managing partner of QuantAscend Singapore and India. Okay, so they are basically CFO company. He is a licensed company secretary, and there are few things which I wanted to list as a very unique and a massive achievement. He single-handedly uh, handled a big IPO on his own for his previous venture. We will ask him about that also. And his entire exposure of activities is almost nearing 200 million, as I read. Uh, as far as Quintessent is concerned, they are into structuring and setting up of enterprises. They are into advisory on the fundraising. They are into mergers and acquisition, financial planning, digital transformation, much needed for the art. They are into compliance and contract management, and they are also into transaction advisory. So it's my extreme honor and privilege to welcome Mr. Ramesh Babu, managing partner QuantAscend, for my show. Ramesh Babu, thank you so much for accepting my invitation and coming to my show. How are you today?
Hi, absolutely pleasure, Satish. It's wonderful experience to share my learnings in the past 25 years. So this is excellent forum that you have given, so that I can share and I can also learn from the questions that you are asking, so that I can go to the drawing board and see what are the missing pieces that should be looked at. Wonderful, Satish. Great day to you.
Fantastic. Okay, let us go into the discussion, Ramesh. First, give us a small bio introduction of Quantum.
Sure, Satish. Uh, First, I'll speak 2 minutes about myself, right? So, I come with 25 years of corporate experience before setting up my consulting firm, which is QuantAscend Consulting, having presence in Singapore and India. So, last before this, I set up this firm in 2016. Prior to that, I was working for IT product company based out of Singapore, having presence globally. So I almost spent 14 years. So that's where I learned a lot about growing a company, be it in terms of because fundraise is one part of the journey, right? Which is important, but essentially the business has to be architect properly, and that's how you should execute your business plan. And to execute a business plan, what all the structures that you should have, either in terms of your corporate structure, your organization structure, and your financial processes, everything needs to be there, stitched together to execute a plan, the business. So that is where my expertise is. So in terms of corporate structuring, and when you want to grow, it is just not an organic growth; it is an inorganic growth. At the same time, you should find the right fit for your business. So M&A is a strategy on its own, and I come up with sort of I have done M&A outbound M&As, four in US, two in UK, and of course one in India. So that is where the M&A side is. Then fundraise, of course, come with large scale investments, right from General Atlantic to Blackstone, and preparing the company towards IPO processes. So that's sort of an experience. Then coming to the core area where enterprise should be focusing and very relevant in the current environment is two things I will say. One is your stock option plan that you should be driving in the current scenario because cash is constrained and cash is king. And important is to give value to the people who are with you as part of management team as or part of execution team. So stock option is very important so that people have the belongingness that they are part of the venture and also drives performance because both are important in terms of retaining a talent and rewarding a talent. So that we specialize. And on the other side, which you touched upon, is the digital transformation. Because with whether it is, I will not talk only just about COVID, right? It is your digital transformation is very key for your business scalability. So it should not be people dependent. It should be people independent and system driven. So that's where we specialize in terms of your core financial process management, your contract management, your compliances. Everything is digital, so that on tip of a button you get all the details, so that you can make decisions and move forward and you will never look for paperwork where this document is lying. Customer has given a confirmation where it is. So everything should be on tip of your button. So that's where we specialize. And also very important is international transaction because predominantly any startup wants to do business globally. If you want to do your business globally, you should have your right structure to ensure that it is happening. So, for example, if you want to do in US or in Japan or in Singapore, you need to have a thought process on what should be the structure to execute the business there and all your transactions should be in line with your regulatory requirements both in India because people predominantly talk about India, but importantly wherever you are doing business you have a regulatory compliance requirement in those jurisdictions. So we do have a global network to ensure that you stay compliant so that the management and the leadership can focus on business. So this is what I think I have combined both what I have and what what we do. So that is what we have very good leadership in QuantAscend with the specialization on corporate taxation, financial processes, and automation. So that is very brief. Let us get into the main
No, no, that's
subject matter.
perfect.
Yeah.
The scope of the meeting has been very nicely projected by you. Like this is something which an experienced person can do. Like you just give the flavor of next 30 minutes what people are going to hear. Like that comes with an experience. Wonderful, Ramesh. Going forward, uh, uh, three type of audiences we generally target in this video, Ramesh. One is
Okay.
one is the startup entrepreneurs. Like as you rightly said, in today's context, anybody who is starting a business, their outreach is global. Okay. The second target audience is students. Like one of the things which I predominantly do is I make it as much as easy learning possible for the upcoming generation. And the third is the learners, the curious learners, like who wants to, their thirst for knowledge here. So keeping those people in mind, I'm going to ask the next question. If I'm having a business concept, okay, two things which I would be very happy if you can answer. One is the structuring the concept, which is basically the formation. Okay. And the second is basically once the structuring is done and the business is probably getting little bit of a shape, I want to go to the next level, which is bringing in some funds. Okay. So take us to the process of a concept to a formation to the first level of seeking of funds.
Oh, fantastic, Satish. So, when it comes to a concept, right? I have a concept. So, the concept should solve a problem, right? I think most of the audience could have heard. So, but it will be a reiteration. I will be reiterating that again, right? Your whatever concept that we have, right? That should solve some problem first. So, you need to identify what is the problem then, What is the problem, and how am I going to solve the problem? Once you that is defined, and for the student community, or for uh, or for the pure starters, right? So no one wants to have tons of documentation towards this. Make it very simple. No one wants, people will not get impressed because of the volume. Because if you can guide people, or whether it is investor or your own purposes, right? Keep it very simple, saying that what is the problem I'm solving, and how I am solving. So that once we have identified the problem, next is how am I solving the problem. So just before getting into that, another piece of information that I want to share with my experiences, every the point that we want to articulate either to ourselves. See, first you need to convince yourself before convincing investors. So you are also an investor, by the way. When you are a founder and a promoter and a startup person, you are the first investor. So you should get convinced with your own information. Then only you can convince others. That is my learning. So any information that you have should be backed up by some data. So if I say that I am going to build a system, or build a process that is going to solve a problem in logistics of hotel chain, right, or a delivery, then clearly you need to know, you need to tell what is that it translates into market, right? Which market I'm going to look at. What is the market size, target market? So you can't say that I'm going to solve the problem universally. If it is there, great. I won't say that. So when you start, you will have that universal thought. Then you will profile it. Okay, I am going to I'm going to look at India first, right? Then you will look at, okay, this is India. I'm going to start. Then I'm going to do it for Southern India. Then you will come to either. Then you will find out, okay, in Southern India, I'm going to do metro, or tier one cities, or tier two three cities, or tier three cities. So please have data backed up for each of these things, so that you are clear in your ideas. So once you have identified, narrowed down that this is my idea, this is the market that I'm going to cater. That's absolutely at different stages your market will expand. But for you to start your venture, this is the market I'm looking at. So then once you have identified the market, right? Of course, the product that also parallelly goes, right? What is the product that I'm going to offer? So it could be a technology product, or a digital product, or it could be a physical product as well, right? What is the product that I'm going to offer? So once that product is there, how long will it take to to have the product in place? So it could be 6 months, it could be 1 year, or it could be 2 years, right? So in that product, whether you have different versions, right? If it is technology product, or an IT product, do you have, or an IT service, or a process? Is it like end to end? You need to wait and reach out to the market, or you have version one, version two, where you can reach the market. So you need to profile that. So just I'll pass on, Satish. Is it? Are you getting where we are looking at things?
Absolutely, absolutely. See, in fact, like one of the next thing which I wanted to discuss on is how to probably initiate a business plan. And you have literally almost crossed 50-60% of how to create a business plan. So absolutely, we are right on target, Ramesh. Go on.
Oh, fantastic. So once we have the market and the product, then comes your how you are going to take up the product to the client, right? So what is the strategy for that? So once you know the strategy, so how you are going to do that? So is it online or offline, or what is the cost involved, or whether how many people may be involved? So again, we talked about market, product, and sales, right? How many people involved, right? How long? What is the investment that you may require? So all these things will be in your mind, right? So these are the things that we should start thinking. So once we start thinking, I always believe that once you put it in writing, the thinking becomes fluent, and it is sharp, and you can't write without thinking. That's my view on this. So put everything in a piece of paper or in a document or an Excel sheet, whichever you are comfortable. That is absolutely, it is your business finally. So you should decide what is the right approach. So you have all this information, and then think about how much will it take to move to the next step, which is your when I say product, so your proof of concept, right? When you will be ready, your proof of concept will be ready. And when you can take to one or two clients to test your proof of concept.
There,
So
there, I will probably, like stop you for a minute because, I have a
absolutely,
very specific question for that POC and MVP level.
yeah,
Okay. So before going into POC and MVP level, you have beautifully explained, like how to come up with a, business plan, like just for the viewers, all the points, whatever the Ramesh has said, if you just put it in a Word document like a glossary, that is your business plan. You, whichever industry you are in, he has literally given you point wise, what are all the things which has to be there. If okay, my question before going into POC or MVP, those that business plan, okay, whatever that you're talking about, there are two ways to it. One is the business plan will enable me to perform the way which I envisaged when I started the company, okay, or when the concept was being generated. The second thing is the business plan is also a tool where I will be able to tell what I'm doing to the outside world. Okay. So, so the first part you have nicely given us a view. Okay. Now let us go into the external environment part. Okay, where uh, I have to use the business plan whatever that you have given. Uh, just explain, and then I have to now tell the outside world. Okay, what is the type of business that I'm doing? Okay. And this is where the investment community comes into picture. Okay. There are varied aspects. The client is there, other is there. So for the focus of the discussion, let us leave all those people. Okay. Like because the QuantAscend experience is more from the perspective of analysis towards presenting the documents towards the investment community. Okay. So in that perspective, let's focus on that. How should I use the business plan which I have actually done, and then present it to the investment community? What are all the things that I should not put in that? Okay, and or if I have to put some information there, what kind of a communication it should have?
super. Absolutely, Satish. In fact, this is a wonderful question to frame my thoughts as well. If you ask me, I will say what not to do first. What to do, predominantly people know they are putting it right. What not to do is one is don't create a business plan which runs in hundreds of pages. First point, whether it is investor presentation, I would say it's business plan is anyway it's an investor presentation because you yourself, although it is a repetition, you are the first investor, right? So it is to convince yourself. So I won't believe an investor presentation more than 20 slides. So we should be very crisp because attention span of any investor or anyone who is reading a document, you can't be able to retain more than 20-30 seconds in per slide. So is my humble experience. So keep it to the point and crisp and backed by data. So if we can keep on, if we can, although it is don't I spoke, but I'm just getting into the do's, but that gives you a flavor of what you should not be doing as well, right? So keep it simple. So don't complicate your thoughts, right? Keep it very simple and keep information relevant for the business and backed by data and reduce in numbers. So everything finally the business wants to know, the investor wants to know what is that you want from me today, okay, and how long you will sustain that investment, what you will achieve through that investment. So finally, this should be coming in numbers. Okay, I am giving you 1 million. So every investor will be looking at scalability. So they don't want to put them. We are talking about early stage investments, right? We are not talking about serious D, E, F. And all. So here, people want to know. Okay, I'm going to put 250K or 500K or 1 million, whatever, right? So what is that you will achieve through that, and what is your next steps, because investor doesn't want to see a scenario where with 1 million the business is matured and there is nothing big in it. So while two things importantly you should cover: one, how am I going to use an investment that I am asking, we ask. So how am I going to use it, and what is my futuristic goals in the next 3 years? No one wants to look at 10 years what I'm going to do, or 15 years I'm going to do. Next 1 to 3 years, what I'm planning to do after this investment. So clearly, step one, what is the investment I am looking at, and how I am going to use that investment, and what will be the result. Result could be either in terms of a milestone, when I say your product will be ready, or I would have established my fundamentals to market this product in a particular region that I have contemplated, right? Building the ability processes. So it is just not numbers. It is okay. I will be doing all these things, right? Which will put the platform for me to grow and achieve the numbers. So that is one part. Second part, if that investment is going to result in achieving a revenue, and then you should cover that. So qualitative and quantitative both are important. Don't get stressed up saying that, oh, I need to provide a revenue number for this investment. No. So people are investing, early stage investors are investing on the scale and on the belief on the product, on the vision. They are also like you, they are also part of the investor of your idea. So they are equally they'll be excited with your idea. So keep that excitement always in the presentation.
Fantastic, fantastic. Just to summarize, keep it very simple, crisp, and no more than 20 slides. Keep the numbers very real, rational, no exaggeration. Please understand that the investors are also just like you when you are in the early stage. Keep them excited on the concept. Don't give a flying balloon, presentation, which is a terminology which we use in the community, which is basically like, you will be standing in the earth, and you will be saying that, I'm in the flying balloon. Okay, don't give presentations like that. And finally, as he very beautifully said, the investor is ready to get excited about the concept. Keep him excited. Okay, so
Exactly.
fantastic, Ramesh. Okay, going forward.
Satish, I would like to, because once you create a realistic presentation, then you'll be able to present with confidence and conviction. For that, you need to know clearly. You should have that. If you're driving, you should have the control on the vehicle, right? So you should clearly know where you are heading in the next 12 to 18 months. So that is what finally you need to create that excitement. Okay, this is what I'm going to do, which is going to path break the entire thought process or the way in which business is done, or I'm going to support the business the way in which they are doing it. This is my audacious goal, right? But to achieve that, next 12 to 18 months, what I'm going to do is what will excite.
Okay.
So you have aptly summarized that. So I just
Okay.
wanted to make it very clear to the audience.
Fantastic. My next question is, you can either put it as very challenging or controversial, or however, but it's a very that question is easy to ask, and I think it's very tough to answer. Um, who should go for external investment, and
Ah,
when?
this is yeah. No, no. This is my favorite question, and good that you have asked. In fact, we help a lot of entrepreneurs. So first, the question that I ask them is why you require money. So because that is a loaded question, people will think, because definitely I have great regard for all the entrepreneurs. So definitely they would have thought about this when they are asking money. And second one, why you require money, right? And second is why you require this amount of money. First is, yeah, so I think the audience will be able to relate the question. So clearly we should know what is that I will achieve by getting this money in the next 12 to 18 months. So how it is going to differentiate, or take the my vision from step 1 to step 3 or step 5. by getting this money. So clearly you should articulate. And second, uh, clearly you should know that what I want in the next to 12 months, 18 months, not 5 years, 10 years. So otherwise, it will one you will not be able to get the money because you don't have the backup to say I want 10 million, right? For 10 million, the approach towards investment and investor community is different. So clearly, you should if you are an early stage entrepreneur who is expecting a seed fund, VC fund. So you should clearly know what their expectation also. That is very important. So they want to know what is that you will use the fund in the next 12 to 18 months is what they will be expecting. And clearly, you should. It is best for you as an entrepreneur. I would recommend always. This is what I talk to most of the my client or entrepreneur forum is that you should don't raise more than what you can chew because it will haunt you like anything. Because it is not about presenting, convincing, and definitely you will be able to convince any investor, and probably you can raise whatever fund you want. But if you can't sustain that investment, that will haunt you like anything. Because entire business or your vision will collapse, your reputation, many other things will come into play. So raise absolutely what you require for the next 12 to 18 months is my recommendation and my view on this suggestion. Hope I have answered your question. If anything I have missed, probably you can prompt, I can answer that.
Okay, the next, then Ellen, oh, no, no, nothing. Actually, you have answered it. I've asked two questions, but you just, sandwiched your answers, like with both the questions, which is fantastic. Uh, I'm going to continue in the same line. So when a business is actually presenting their ideas to the investment community, okay, you have given a fantastic idea of, what to present, when to present, and how to present. Okay, and now I'm going to turn the coin and say going to ask you when I should not present. Okay. Example, if I'm a company, let's say my corporate is doing, I'm not in the MVP level, I'm actually in the business level where I have clients maybe 1 or 2 years down the line. Okay, now I want to probably go to the next level. Okay, so, what are all the things that I should keep in mind? So, let us probably move from the early stage entrepreneur to a little medium
Super.
stage entrepreneur. Okay.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I have two challenges in hand. One is my business is not too small, so it is going on its own. Okay. And my business is not ready for going very big also. Okay. So, there is a very small nomad's land which I have to travel. Okay.
Before takeoff, you are saying.
Before even bringing the second, you can probably call it
Okay.
a series A or whatever it is, or this thing. So my question is when I should not go for seeking investment.
Super. Very simple. When you can't scale your business. When you can't scale your business and you believe that business is in a plateau and it will not grow exponentially, that is the time you should not look at investments. So you should look at uh, uh, doing your internal accruals and reinvest and grow in the phase that you want, right? And or you can look at debt fund or to an HNI or your own family sources. Don't go for an external funding without having a view on the scale. If your business is not scalable, there is no better. You can grow the way that you can grow, or you can sustain the level that you are there.
Okay, fantastic. So you have touched the point where if I'm eating which I cannot chew, I'm going to choke. That's definitely there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Uh, the point is I have gone. It's a mistake. I have gone. Okay, and there is a point where the term sheets are accepted, things are actually coming, and the first tranche of investment is already inside. Okay, one of the things which keeps running in the business community mind is any investment agreement is almost like placing your head in a guillotine. Okay, or I now know that it is not going to scale up the way that I projected in my investment this thing. What is the exit strategy? See, this is something which I can tell 100% sure nobody will address in the video, because this is something which is almost like a well kept secret here. So I want to know from your expertise what choices the entrepreneurs have, okay, after receiving the investment, and if they find that the scale which they have projected is not going to happen, what are all the choices they have? Is there possibility of negotiation, or is there a possibility of early exit, or is there possibility of combining something else? Because bringing more money is not going to help, because anyway the scaling is not going to happen. So give me your expertise on that.
Sure, Satish. A simple question, but difficult to answer because lot of permutation combination comes here. But I will try to answer. So I have either the business plan I have thought very aggressively, but it is not performing to the plan. Right? That is one scenario. That is most of the scenario will be on that. Right? Typically, investors would have factored. While they invest, they know that they will not buy into their entire business plan. Let us take, you believe that in the next 2 years your revenue is going to be 10 million. At least they would have factored like 8 million, right? So seven and a half, 8, they will be okay with that. Even I would say that like 7, because as long as they see that it is a 1 year blip, or they will grow a little bit, but it is not the way in which they have mentioned, right? There are two things, right? One, achieving the next year target where they where there is a blip, and in the growth, year on year growth also, they would have projected. Let us take someone has projected 30% growth, but it comes like 20, right, or 50 or 20ish, right? So there, their investor will understand. Okay, they would have also taken some factoring into it. But if it is going from North Pole to South Pole, that is where the trouble starts. And importantly, two areas that we should think: whether it is a pure business performance or it is a corporate governance issue, including money being taken out by the promoters. I am not going to answer that question because the answer is very clear on that. If you are getting into a non corporate governance issue, let us take everything is fine, but I have gone enthusiastic, and the numbers has gone from north to south, right? But again, here I would put one more qualifier, not because let us take like a COVID scenario, right, or something which is not controllable, right? Then people will understand that. So let us take all scenarios uh, under control, and the business has gone from north to south completely, right? Then the investor will be looking at an uh, uh, exit for them, right? Because definitely this they can't go and sell to another investor saying that secondary sale. So they will be looking at an exit from promoter perspective. So they will expect promoter to buy out, right, or provide an exit through some options of including selling the business itself to bigger organization. If that is possible, they will push you there. So either you should provide an exit. Okay, I know that this business will grow. I promised 30% growth, but it is growing at 10%. So I'll buy you out, right? At some, then the discussion is about what is the appreciation that you will give, right? Principally, they want to protect their investment, right? So a lot of discussion happens around that. That means you are trying to buy the stake, or providing an exit to another investor, which is quite difficult in that scenario. The other option, predominantly, then investor will think to how, because they want to exit, so they will try to uh, see whether they can sell the business itself so that they can take their money and balance is to you. So be clear. This is what very important. As you said, what you can chew is what you should take into account. So
Okay,
be very clear.
fantastic.
Don't be aggressive in your. Be always conservative in when it comes to business. Be conservative. Yeah. Set the expectation low. Deliver high, so that
Okay.
the next level of investment you can command premium. I can guarantee you that. Don't look at first level of investment where I should get a premium, and you want to tell your in your community saying that I got X dollar investment into the company. That is not at all relevant. Initially, be conservative, over deliver.
Okay, Ramesh, last part of this thing. Okay, so one of the things which we keep in this program is we keep everything in 30 minutes. So,
Oh, okay, fantastic.
last is going to be something more like a rapid fire thing. Okay, so the first question which I wanted to ask you is that during the initial investment, how much of how much percentage of equity can some or the entrepreneur should sacrifice or give?
Okay, the expectation, Satish, should be like minimum people should be willing to partake is 20%. Minimum, I'm saying.
Okay, so
Minimum
some
because they should not.
20% plus.
Yes, 20 plus exactly. And another experience that I want to share is typically people should not look okay. I need to hold 51%, right, 60%, right, because finally the value is what is important. The enterprise value that you can create. So your entire game plan should be towards creating enterprise value, not how much percentage that you are going to hold over a period of time. So initially it will be 20 plus game. Yeah,
Ramesh, your video is gone.
sorry about that.
No problem. I'll just cut it out. Not an issue. Okay. The second question is okay. Whenever somebody is applying for say investment and things, one of the big discussion points which actually comes is how much salary can a promoter take, and is there a formula for it, or is there an ethical reason for it? Just give us some ideas on that.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely a wonderful question, considering the audience that will be watching it, right? So, see, let us take a different set of entrepreneurs, right? One is people who have completed their education, right, and they are setting up a venture, right? They should not look at, okay, if I had joined Infosys or if I joined McKinsey, right, what would have been my salary? And I going to make it? No. Answer is no, right? Typically, people will look at, okay, as long as you are keeping it is very, very competitive, right, below what significantly below, because you are looking at an entrepreneur and you are going to have a huge upside on your enterprise value. So people will look at uh, a very, very reasonable salary considering you as an entrepreneur, because the mind shift will determine this. To answer you very specifically, the investor will judge you whether you are an entrepreneur or an employee. So I
Fantastic.
leave the topic to the people to decide on.
Fantastic. Okay, so put the number which shows your interest, not their greediness. Okay.
Yes.
So uh, okay, next part which is also very important. Generally, how soon this entire investment process take? Like what should an entrepreneur be ready for? Because one of the things which we all face is, they come with a paper expecting a check after the meeting is over. Okay. So generally, how long it takes? I know it's a very blurry answer, but still.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, no, no. This is a fair question as well. People should have that expectation clear. Right from their investor presentation, right? Because it is not that immediately some investor. So there are. I will put it in two phase, right? Where the business is exciting, and the investor is excited with your business ideas, right? It will close within 3 months.
3 months.
Yeah, within 3 months. But you have to sell your concept to a larger audience, right? And convincing time will take little longer than what you expect, right? It will be between 3 to 6 months.
Okay, so all the viewers, do not even think about all the news which is coming, which is probably it's very good for a web series where they show that they come with a check and take put an investment. It's not going to happen like that. You need to at least wait for 3 months to 6 months period. So patience is very, very important in this activity. The next point, this is something which I know that like you can give a lot of knowledge to my audience here, Ramesh. There is a small perspective difference between how the investors in India look at an Indian company and an outsider, which is like overseas investor, look at an Indian company, whether it is early stage, medium or mature, whatever it is. Conceptually, I'm speaking. Okay. Uh, you have been in both the positions. You have sat in the chair of Indian, being an Indian, looking at an Indian business, and overseas, looking at an Indian business. Give some five or like something like a pointer. Like I know it's very tough to quantify it. Some pointer which will attract the overseas investors because the investment conversion of overseas investors into India is gradually coming down. The bigger investments are good. Like we're talking about 100 million, 200 million, where government is getting involved and businesses are coming. Those are different. But the early and the medium stage investments are coming down. Why is that? And like where are we missing? And some pointers. What is the global investment community look for an investee?
Okay, Satish, to answer this in a simple way, right? Uh, in Western world, the entrepreneurs do lot of homework and set the expectation correct, and then go for the money, so that the predictability is high. The, the, the performance and predictability is high when it comes to Western world. In India, most of the investment after getting the initial amount uh, go below the expectation. So
Okay.
that is why the risk appetite in Western world is high, and when it comes to India, it is low. So they do lot of scrutiny. They don't believe at the first sight. They want more information. That is what I mentioned: 3 months and 6 months. So that is where we lack. It is our own issue in terms of, because the, 8 or 7 out of 8 businesses fail or doesn't meet the expectation, or they don't move beyond first round of investments, and that is where the failure is. So actually, the problem is with us, nothing to do with this.
Okay, fantastic. And as far as the uh, situation, like post-COVID situation, okay, how three type of scenarios, like how it was before, we all know. Currently, is any investment happening? Okay, or how is the the entire investment scenario right now? And post-COVID, okay, how it is going to come? Is it going to be, are we looking at a immediate repercussions, or are we expecting something like immediately they are going to be back in business? Is there a time frame which you have understood? And third question is, how is the East Asian market which is going to come into picture? Because one of the very big investment community, where including India, like Southeast Asia was a big investment community before COVID. Do, will we be able to get the same kind of traction after COVID also? These three.
Okay, sure, Satish. Very relevant questions for the listeners. Uh, Pre-COVID, as you said, there is nothing we need to debate. It's history. So during this COVID time, right, how the investors are looking things. Now they are looking lot. They are only exploring. If you see whether there is any investment happening, probably one or two will be happening. But predominantly, it is a wait and watch scenario. So we talk about a business, and they see whether that business has an immediate impact, irrespective of COVID. Then definitely the discussion happened. I would say that 3 months time frame I mentioned you, right? That T0, that is the start time, still it is not there. So people think about it, explore what happens if there is a second lockdown, or the COVID becomes very serious. So lot of things are running in their mind, but there are businesses uh, which can be success in the COVID scenario as well, or which can support the scenarios. So those things, of course, the business will be as usual. They definitely, the investor will be looking at, because many of the investment, it is not happening just over a Zoom call, right? They want to meet the investor, right? Meet the team. So those things are not happening. So we need to be practical from that perspective. So yes, they would have done their homework, but they will not let you know. They'll say that okay, we have done that, but we want to meet, or we want to wait for a month to see how the scenario pans out. So that means they are interested, but they are just delaying for a month or so to know how the scenario pans out. And if they earlier, if they are taking, let us take a risk on a transaction, but today they will not be taking that risk. So that means those transactions, they will say that they want to look beyond COVID, not now.
So you are you saying that there will be a difference in the entire style of valuation of businesses from the investment community post COVID because of the pandemic experience which has been throwing us into ground zero for last 4 months. So will they be viewing it with much more caution and conservativeness from the future?
Uh, the answer is yes and no. It all depends on the business that the proposal is there. And but post COVID or during the COVID, now people will be looking at valuation. You are seeing the stock market how it is behaving, right? So they will be looking at that is a barometer for you. So definitely, the valuation will be aggressive, and the not only the valuation part, the money that they are going to give, right? Let us take for cutting a $1 million check. Now they will say that, oh no, I will give you 250K, you perform, and let's see how things pan out, then I will cut the next check. So it is a stage investment can come. A valuation could be little aggressive, but they will not try to because they want to create an environment where the excitement is there for the promoter as well. So
Absolutely.
so it's a mix and match approach.
Absolutely. So generally, they call it as drip feed. Like I think earlier drip feed used to happen only very rarely. I think drip feed is going to become a norm of tomorrow. Here, I think you have answered all my questions fantastically, Ramesh, and it's always a treat to talk to you. Your final closing remarks.
So pleasure talking to you. Actually, it is sort of living through the path that we are traveling, right? So excellent, giving an opportunity, and happy to help any promoter in mentoring or giving guidance either in their fundraise or any topic that you want to debate. Of course, you can reach to Satish. Satish has all my contact details, and keep your fire. So this is momentary phase, right? Those who can survive are the people who can really scale up and don't give up, and all the very best for the entrepreneurs or and the promoters, students. Keep up going. I think situation will be completely different. Hopefully, in the next 1 or month or so, then everything will be behind us. So all the very best, Satish. To you,
Thank you so
thanks
much.
for giving an opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ramesh. I think viewers, I think you would have seen very straightforward and a very simple way of understanding how to present your business to the investment community. Thank you so much, Ramesh, for giving us your valuable time. And I think in case, like if possible, I would like to invite you again to my channel to share a lot more insights going forward. And all the very best to you, all the very best to QuantAscend, and best wishes to you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Satish. Wonderful talking to you. Great day, viewers.
Thank